And now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present to you, recording from an undisclosed location in Oakdale, Connecticut, it's Chris Burns, it's Chris Lynch, this is Dysfunction Junction. And Matt Marsh.
Oh, right on.
That's right, baby. Matt Marsh is here for the 80s wrestling episode you didn't know you wanted, but you're going to get anyway. Dig, if you will. All you coupon clipping, Copenhagen and dipping crazy people out there, we're going to have some Dysfunction Junction, baby.
Yeah. We'll see how long Matt Marsh lasts. He's fresh out of a shingles vaccination.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We go from Dusty Rhodes to shingles.
Romantic.
What a great segue.
That's lovely.
What a lovely way to roll that in.
Yes.
And leave it to Marsh, who frequently drops the word lovely first, to have the word lovely dropped on him today about his shingles vaccination.
It's lovely shingles vaccination.
It's more lovely than the alternative.
It's much better. It was a lovely SAT score. Lovely.
Yeah, it was lovely. That's
it was
right.
lovely.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I spelled my name right the second time I took it.
Yeah, my SAT
that
score
brought me up to an 820.
Right? Yeah, my SAT score does not exist.
Does not exist.
All right, welcome to Dysfunction Junction. My name is Chris Burns. In the bottom left corner, of course, he is not the nature boy, but he is
Chris Lynch.
In the bottom right corner, you got the lover of sandwiches and all things shitty Chinese. It's Matt Marsh.
Leaping Lanny Poffo.
Oh, dear. I'm sure he'll come up tonight. And, of course, the producer extraordinaire, the man with no hair, the man who gets confused on the daily as the Big Show. He is Big Herm, Michael P.S. Herman.
Show the necklace.
Oh, is he wearing the necklace tonight?
Oh, he's got the necklace on.
He went to the Colorado State Fair, threw a softball into a...
Got a lot of compliments on it at the fair.
Okay, it's a nice necklace.
Got a lot of compliments. People were like, holy shit, that's a lot of fucking
Southwestern
turquoise.
Royalty right there.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of fucking turquoise. Yes.
It's like the Elvis Presley of the Southwest.
Them straight.
Yes.
Straight.
I'm the NC Hammer of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then we can't go on together with suspicious minds. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Hang on.
Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. All right. Lynch is going to waddle his way to the bathroom or somewhere.
He just
doubled over.
Is he peeing?
No, I don't know. He just
right there in the living room, Marsh.
Right. He just Homer Simpson.
I don't know how it is at his house. I mean,
he's got a bucket for a year.
He's in that Silence of the Lambs dungeon.
You kind of make it out. It's almost like watching the final scene in Blair Witch. It's just he's over there in the corner, huddled.
I was gonna say if he turns that camera and Megan's in the corner, I'm gonna be
right.
pissed.
And Megan's in the corner, I'm gonna be real pissed.
What is he doing?
Good Christ! Who knows what he's doing?
I'll turn the contrast up on when I rewatch it, and we'll see.
Like a mystery.
It's probably not good. It's probably not good at all. Definitely not a family fun activity.
Probably not.
Oh.
Well, we may as well get to this week's quick hit. As soon as he found out we were doing a wrestling episode, Sid Udy, formerly known as Psycho Sid Vicious, passed away yesterday, at the age of 63 from cancer, which is odd because nobody knew he had cancer. He was a very private human being. People knew he was sick.
Yeah, they knew he wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
Nobody knew the fuck why.
Right. And you want to talk about, to use one of the kiddie buzzwords nowadays, dude had Riz coming out of his ass. That dude, he has the Riz.
Again?
It's charisma.
Oh, right. Okay.
He got the Riz.
He could light up a crowd. Whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, people loved him.
I thought that was like Ric Flair too, wasn't it?
Kind of. In the early days, Ric Flair was hated by a lot of people, but as kids got older, you're like, oh, dude, Ric Flair, yeah, he's the man. Well, where were you when I was in 1987 getting picked on for liking Ric Flair? Bitches.
See, it's fucked up. Is like my first exposure to Ric Flair, like on TV, was in the last few years of that WWE shit when he was on.
Oh, when he was
I didn't watch
90
the
years old.
WCW or AWE back then. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no WC. Matt doesn't know anything about WCW, ECW.
Well, I know about it because there was these back when we were little kids. They had these things called magazines, and fucking WCW had a magazine and all kinds of fucking off the wall shit. And I mean, I used to get those, and I'm like, that's how I found out about the Von Erichs. I'm like, who the fuck are all these people, and why don't I see them on TV?
Because after a while, Channel 61 took them off.
Bunch
Oh,
of
they
idiots.
were on.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah.
Bunch of
Oh
idiots.
yeah, there was a
beans in
huge-
their chili.
huge,
all-
a huge
That was mostly Southern and Midwest wrestling, wasn't it?
on Channel 61. Yeah, Texas was the Von Erichs. Texas
Yeah,
and
and then
Oklahoma.
and you had Smoky Mountain and
Florida, WWE, WCW, which was NWA back then. There was a
How did you
4-hour
guys see all
block.
this shit?
Channel 61, bro,
Channel
from like
61.
from 8
Oh,
a.m.
I
till
may not
noon.
have had cable.
Yeah,
at
like
that
Channel
point.
61 out of Hartford had all of that shit.
Really?
Yep. There was
Oh,
a
yeah.
rotating one.
I
It
don't
was
think
always,
I got cable till I was like 10 or 11.
Oh, then it was hot
Cable,
then,
what's
too.
that?
That's that thing people used to watch TV on.
I remember that I had that dial where the fuck you could hear the thing on the roof moving and shit.
Oh yeah.
Click, click.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
to the block of TV in a minute. Go ahead, Lynch.
Yeah, I heard what you guys were saying about Sid Vicious. Stomach cancer he had.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess he's been
That's a
battling it for
shitter.
quite a while.
He
That's a shitty cancer to get, man. Oh,
There's a good one to get.
No.
that's what I'm saying. There isn't really a good one, but
Stomach
there's
and
a good.
pancreatic
No,
are
this is
two
the
of your
good
most
cancer.
painful.
We are partying.
I mean, there are
We
some
are
that
fucking
fucking
going out.
just take you the fuck out. And you don't know what the fuck's going on. But like pancreatic
Right.
and stomach are supposed to be fucking brutal.
yeah, stomach is brutal because they basically they remove
Yeah.
pieces of your
It's-
intestines and stomach
It's
little
You
by
lose-
little.
fucking.
Do you lose weight if that happens, like massively?
Oh,
Yeah, don't get any fucking
there's
ideas.
an upside.
Dear Jesus, if I could just get stomach cancer for like 3 months,
And then cure me.
Right,
And then
and then
that
just wipe
means-
it away.
and then when I'm thin and sexy, just miraculously motherfucking
shit
cure
it
my
out.
ass. All right, please, Lord, I don't ask for much.
He's
I
gonna
will
start
crap out
chewing
the
like
cancer.
he's gonna start dipping
just gonna
plutonium.
I'm gonna start,
Right.
man. I'm gonna for something. I'm gonna like start putting like tobacco shreds in my salad. I don't know, whatever
Oh
it takes.
no. Be like that thing in 7 where he's eating ceramic.
All
Ugh.
right, I do have a Sid Vicious story I wanted to share with you guys. There was a hot rumor in the 90s that he would take time off in the spring to go play softball, which was weird because Herm and I went to WrestleMania and there he was at WrestleMania.
There
So
he
that
was.
kind of
There
blew that away.
There wasn't any. He was there. In that
Which
show.
one did you guys go to? WrestleMania 2?
11.
11. 11.
11, yeah, in Hartford.
No shit.
Bob
Yep.
Backlund.
Bob Backlund was there.
Yes,
This
and
is gonna sound
Roddy
awful, but
Piper.
Who the fuck
Lawrence
is
Roddy
Bob
Piper.
Backlund?
Roddy
Lawrence
Piper
Taylor
was there.
there.
Hulk Hogan.
I
Was
do
not
not
there.
know who Bob
Look,
Backlund is.
Hulk Hogan was not. Hold on, where the fuck is that button on my keyboard that makes people go away? Where the fuck do I find that? Just boop, done, gone.
Did you make me go away?
No,
No.
not you, buddy. You're staying. This motherfucker right here next to you, though, he is out of
I
here.
don't know who Bob Backlund is.
I don't.
This motherfucker with the beard, with the head next to you, Lynch, he's gone. Like he's
I know who Mean Gene is
he's
and
not
Jesse
heard.
Ventura.
Heard.
Okay.
What
All
was
right.
his
All
what was
right.
Backlund's gimmick?
Two names he pulls out are Mean Gene
And
and
Jesse Ventura.
Dude, as a
Uh,
7, 8-year-old kid, those were the announcing dudes, man. And McMahon was doing shit up in there. The
Bob
commentary.
Backlund was the world
Yeah,
champion for
yeah,
6
McMahon
years. His
was doing
gimmick,
shit.
yeah,
He was doing steroids.
right. Bob Backlund's gimmick was he was Bob Backlund, world heavyweight champion. He didn't need a gimmick. He
I
was
didn't
the
get into it
gimmick.
until Hogan took over.
Oh.
Like I said,
In the 90s, Bob Backlund had quite the gimmick. He was a crazy,
been out of it by then.
control dude. Yeah,
He was a
we're not going to
crazy
be talking
heel.
about that. But I'm going to go back to the Sid story because funny as shit. We went to King of the Ring in Providence and then Raw in Hartford the next night. And we are in the front row for both. And we are just giving Sid shit all night long. Softball Sid, softball Sid. During the King of the Ring, he turns around and tells us to shut the fuck up. So we're all laughing, high-fiving, whatever. We get to Hartford. Same thing, front row. He's in a 6-man tag team match with the Road Warriors as his partners. There we are
okay,
again.
I remember those dudes.
Softball Sid, softball Sid. Now, he must have looked around. No, he must have looked around to see where the red light was, that it wasn't pointing at him. And he turned around, and he looked at us, and he went, like swinging a bat, like all slow. And we were like, yeah. So we don't want the night to end. We go to Champs down the road from the Hartford Civic Center. And we see Brian Pillman and Bart Gunn and a couple of the other guys, and who's sitting at the end of the bar? Sid Vicious. So me and Jason, Jason Herm.
Yep.
We make a beeline to the end of the bar after we get our drinks, and we tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around. He said, "We just want to let you know that softball Sid thing made our night. Thank you." He goes, "Man, if I have to hear that one more time, I just wanted to have fun with it tonight." And he's just this really soft-spoken, Arkansas dude. But you see him on TV, he's a raging maniac, and the veins in his neck are popping out. Dude was a specimen, 6'6" easily. Maybe 340, 350, built like a brick shithouse. This guy looked impressive. Really? He could have stood.
Sid was a big boy.
Oh yeah, and if you stood next to him, he made you feel. Even sitting on a bar stool, I felt small.
Now, what year was this?
97 when I met him.
Oh no shit. Okay, it was later on. I'd been out of wrestling about freaking probably 8 years at that point.
Yeah, but just a nice guy too. There's not much else I can say. Condolences to his family, and not one I expected to see gone at 63.
Wow.
Especially from stomach cancer. If any of these guys, and Sid only popped one drug test that I knew about because it was reported in the newspaper. That's when the whole steroid thing was going on.
A lot of times that's brain cancer. Yeah, stomach cancers.
Yeah, something different. Or an exploded heart like Eddie Guerrero or something like that.
Right.
But
no shit.
But yeah, just a real. If you ever watch him, go to YouTube, find any one of his
YouTube clip or two, man. Because I said, I had a real narrow window, like Jimmy Snoop, Flash Snooka, and all that.
Right.
Shit. I was talking. There was a toy line.
I was talking with a friend of mine today, and we were talking about Sid leading up to the show, and again, charisma out the ass. You walk out and he walks out and he's somebody. He's like a fucking He-Man action figure come to life.
Yeah.
Right down to the curly blonde hair. But he could not do a coherent interview. He was like a more verbose and more clear version of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, he was much better just staying in the background. And
strong. You want to be a strong silent type, Sid, do it.
But you met these guys in a bar, like in a relaxed setting and shit. I mean, the guys I met were in freaking an international airport. They're all proper and shit.
Right. He did this.
Volkov.
Oh, Jesus. Well, that's like my brother and I meeting George Steele in '87 at Bradley. Yeah. And he spoke English. We were like,
whoa, what the fuck?
Sid did two promos that stick out to me. There was one with Bret Hart. Sid won the championship for Bret Hart. Bret Hart's got the microphone. He says, that's my belt. That's my belt. And Sid looks at him and says, I don't know shit. Like, what? Did you say that out loud? I don't know shit. 2 years later in WCW, he said to, I think it was Kevin Nash, I'm twice the man you are, and I only have half the brain that you do.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, speaking on a microphone was not this guy's strong suit, but again, go look up. Oh, did you look up the Sid Vicious leg break? I sent you the link.
Nah, man, I don't want to see that. I'm good. I'll take your word for it.
Harm?
I saw it back when.
Oh, okay. You have to see it, Marsh. What? Okay, now that we got Lynch back. Lynch. I'll mention that to Lynch real quick. Lynch, how'd you like that video of the Sid Vicious leg break?
Fuck you. That's all I'm going to say. Fuck you.
Yo, it's like watching what's his name's ankle break. It's like watching Heisman.
Joe Theismann.
Yeah, fucking Theismann's ankle he goes over and the ankle's like, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, Sid was the same way. Picture this guy, 6'6", 340, jumps off the ropes.
Was literally just like, no, we are done.
His foot hits the mat, and if it wasn't for the fact that he wore these super tall boots up to the knees, you watch the leg V. And then he lays on the ground, and Scott Steiner, being the idiot that he was after they're trying to clear it out, goes for the pin to end the match, hooks the wrong leg, hooks the broken leg.
And lifts it up and just...
The Sid had said in an interview, Sid had said in an interview about a year later, if he wasn't wearing that boot, he'd have lost his leg.
Oh.
Yeah, it'd have probably just ripped off. He'd have had such a compound fracture.
No shit.
Yeah, broke right through the skin. That boot saved his leg. So
I'm convinced of it because
Lynch, I'm going to send you the link after the show. You have to check this out. And I'll give you the same marching orders as I gave to Lynch. I want to know the minute you see it.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna send it to Marsh. Absolutely.
It is it's not something you'll soon forget. And before the days of thumbnails on YouTube. Yeah.
He's got to suffer.
We all suffer together. Friend of mine and Lynch's, before there were thumbnails, when you send a YouTube video, it would just say YouTube in a box. I would send that to our friend Jim Lollimer maybe once a year, and you click it and you just see the leg break, and it's a fuck you. I can't believe you sent me that. I don't want to see that shit ever again.
I almost took that link and put it on his Facebook page.
You should have.
Yeah.
And then rest in peace, Sid.
I was just gonna say, thinking of you, Jim.
I mean, there's just things you don't need.
They put the tag on it.
Yes, you have to see it once.
Yeah, that's like saying I need to see a guy suck another guy's cock once. I don't need to see that.
So you've been to Tijuana?
I have been to Tijuana, but I have not been to one of those shows.
Oh, you didn't go farther down the road where
No,
they
I
have,
did not. No.
Nickel Beers
sexy stud.
I was 7 or 8 years old when I was in Tijuana.
Oh, I was gonna say down at the end of if you go all the way to the end of the block, it's Nickel Beers and Dollar Queers.
Yeah, I missed that part.
Yeah. In the army, we called that Freaky Deaky Sex World.
Freaky Deaky Sex World.
So 80s wrestling, my friends. And Marsh, every time seems Marsh on the show, it devolves into Big John Studd and King Kong Bundy and Junkyard Dog. So
Big John Studd was in Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man.
Yes, he was. And King Kong Bundy sold computers on television.
And he was on Married with Children a handful of times.
Yes, he was.
Didn't he sell Tandy computers?
Yes, he did.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
And then
him, Studd,
computers.
Bundy's dead. Stud is dead. A lot of them
are dead. Stud was dead. Stud died quite a while ago.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah.
The only reason I know
Harley Davidson Marlboro Man.
Yeah. The only reason I know that is because for one of the several thousand 12 CDs for a nickel, we used his name.
That's how Matt counts time now. You know how we have like
post 1991.
You know how we have like BCE.
Yeah, I was just gonna say ADE, Harley Davidson or Marlboro Man, AD. BCE.
We have like pre Harley Davidson Marlboro Man and years post Harley Davidson Marlboro Man. That's the only division of time.
Well, no, there's another one if you want to count Megaforce in there too.
Oh.
It's the same thing though. It's years before Megaforce and years after Megaforce. There's just
you got between.
He doesn't give a fuck about this 2024 bullshit.
Well,
right.
As far as he's concerned, and the Marlboro Man,
the world is only 47 years old.
Right. Marsh is the guy who looks and says, "Joe Pesci did a movie other than My Cousin Vinny."
Yeah. No, that was my least favorite Pesci movie.
What are you fucking high?
Just here's a little thing. In less than 5 years, the 80s will be 50 years old.
Yeah.
No, it's still very shortly ago in our brains. And we're going to take it.
Heard 30 years ago. So what, like 1970?
Yeah, pretty much. Which is why, by the way, before we talk about wrestling,
what?
Before we talk about wrestling,
when you started hearing about what songs you grew up with on classic rock stations.
That hit me. That hit me.
Early
this summer. Herm,
when the fuck did Dr. Feelgood become classic rock?
Herm, myself, and Duke from Speedway Review. I was in Big Y in Marlboro,
and everything Z-Rock used to play is now Dad Rock.
Right, yeah. I'm pushing the buggy through the thing, and I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, this is the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and I'm like, maybe it's the elevator version. No, it was the full on the impression that I get.
Yeah,
and I'm like, when did this become my dad's music?
When you got old.
Yeah, it's
because if you remember, go to the grocery when we were kids. It was like the girl from Ipanema. Right. Or it was
what do they call that? Music?
Baby Comeback.
Yeah, it was music. Oh, so a little player. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Rock Me Gently would be on the gimmick, and
I'll bet there's a player album out in the garage.
I wouldn't doubt it. Oh, all right. Let's get into our discussion. Before I ask the questions, let's start with Marsh because he has the most fun, it seems, talking about this. Don't give me.
He lives there. His head lives there. 24/7.
Reach
fucking
back
nerds.
and tell me about your first memory of 80s wrestling or your best memory.
Oh fuck. It wasn't a best memory. Like I said, I was kind of naive as a kid on how this shit all worked. I would tune in to the Saturday or after cartoons every weekend, and I couldn't understand for the life of me why I never saw Hulk Hogan on Saturday afternoon wrestling. Because you never saw that shit. It was, and I didn't understand. I didn't understand why. It took me fucking years. And then one night I had to stay up for like Saturday night's main event to check it out, and I never got that.
Yeah, you had to
But
pay to watch him.
yeah, is that what it was? Because he was he
Oh
was a
yeah.
heavyweight champ, or
If you they would put Hulk on Saturdays, and I remember this vividly
they
when
put
he
him
was
on
the champ.
talking?
Yeah, but on Memorial Day, every Memorial Day, he would do like a match, and he'd bring out the flag, and he'd fight whatever foreign menace was the hot ticket at the time, whether it was Fuji or Volkov or Sheik or
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
But if you wanted to see Hulk Hogan do something other than talk, you had to pay money for a ticket.
You had to pay money for a ticket in the beginning. That was it. Before,
Yeah,
before,
that makes sense because it was
before,
marketed.
but that was before it got. That's basically before USA adopted them.
Right.
Mhm.
I think
When USA adopted them, they got much. There was now a home for
Yes.
everybody to go to watch them. So there was a known place that they were. So they started capitalizing on that. But yeah, in the very beginning, if you didn't buy a ticket, you didn't see him.
right.
You heard his name and you'd speak about him.
Yeah, you'll get a snippet here or there, or he'd do a special match on TV, and you knew if he's doing a special match on TV, some shit's going down. Paul Orndorff, this is one of my memories, not the best memory or my first memory. Right around Christmas time, we were coming home, and I popped on the midnight version on Channel 56 of the Saturday show since I'd missed it. And it was Hogan and Orndorff versus your two favorites, Stud and Bundy. And Paul Orndorff turned on Hulk Hogan. Right there on TV. I'm like, oh, my dad's like,
Was
that's why they
that
put him on
leading up
TV.
to WrestleMania 1?
I think so.
Because
Or
that
maybe
would
it was
sense.
later. I'm not sure. Because they were
Well,
opponents.
because him and Piper were tag teamed against Mr. T, and yeah, I mean, my definitive moment, looking back, would have had to have been the Hulk Hogan body slam, if you could call it that, Andre the Giant. But
it looked like a body slam ish.
Yeah, it's sort of. But I was
considering
like,
what Andre weighed at the time,
no shit,
that was
it was impressive.
Oh
yeah, I dug that, and then I'm trying to think what else.
Coming in at 6'9" and 700 pounds, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, and Hogan's had to have like every joint in his body replaced since then.
Oh yeah. Between him trying to slam everybody over 500 pounds and dropping to your ass 300 nights a year with that stupid ass move.
Oh.
Heard the big leg.
Yep. But here's another one. How long before, because Steve Austin made a career out of dropping to his ass. How long before he has spinal surgery?
Well, I mean, his knees were shot early on, but you're right. The impact alone. I don't know.
Oh, he's got the knees. He'll tell you that he's got the knees of a 90-year-old man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, Lynch. I know you weren't the hugest fan, but you got to have an 80s memory that sticks out in your mind.
When I first discovered wrestling in the early 80s, it was like Brutus the Beefcake.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Iron Sheik. I love watching Iron Sheik wrestle. So that was I think Iron Sheik was one of the very first wrestling matches I ever watched.
That was like the Camel Clutch, I believe.
It was him and Volkov.
Yep. Nikolai Volkov singing Cara Mia.
Oh, dear God. You're going back to that stupid ass album.
I love that album.
And then Sheiky Baby doing the Camel Clutch at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember guys like Jim the Anvil Neidhart. What's the guy's name? Adonis.
Adrian Adonis. Wait a minute. Which Adrian Adonis? The biker gimmick or the fairy gimmick?
Yeah,
with the silver eye thing there.
All right, you went with the adorable gimmick.
That was where he was wearing like a diaper dressed like Cupid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then guys like Junkyard Dog, Ted DiBiase.
I love Junkyard Dog.
Jake the Snake. Those guys are like the iconic.
I liked Ricky the
wrestling.
Dragon Steamboat a lot.
Rick Rude.
Ooh,
Rick Rude. I remember that guy. The Ravishing Rick Rude.
And the hillbillies there on the
Oh
family.
dear.
And then of course
See,
guys like
things were going
and then,
so well.
of course Rowdy Piper. You know, those were the
And
guys
then
that
some motherfucker had to bring up Hillbilly Jim, and then
Okay,
There
here's
was-
something for you.
well, and then Hillbilly Jim showed up.
And there
Here's
was a whole
something
slew
for
of
you.
them afterwards.
Oh yeah. Here's something for you. Hillbilly Jim and Coco Beware are in the Hall of Fame, but Rick Martel, Sid Vicious, and the Midnight Express aren't.
That's
Something's wrong with this picture.
Well, Martel is because he's gay. Let's be honest.
Actually, I found out later he's not.
now Poffo was
We've
part
seen
of
him
the
do the
Funk
high
family, wasn't he?
What's that?
Wasn't Poffo part of the Funk family?
No, Poffo was part
He
of the
was part
Poffo
of the-
family.
He was part of the Poffo family. Him and
Angelo Poffo and
yeah.
Macho Man Savage.
Okay.
Randy is technically a Poffo.
You can get his baseball card on eBay too.
Oh.
When he played baseball, real baseball, not like a WWF baseball card.
Now, do you guys remember back in the 80s, this gimmick ran for freaking probably 6 months a year. There was a fucking referee who went bad.
Danny Davis.
Danny Davis.
Danny Davis.
Danny Davis. Yes.
Dangerous Danny Davis.
Danny Davis. The most
Here's some
hated
trivia for
referee.
you. Danny Davis, if you ever watch the Saturday morning shows, and it's like coming up next, Tito Santana, and you'd say, okay, here is the opponent, Dr. X. That's Danny Davis underneath that mask.
No
Yeah.
shit.
wow.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he'd pull scrub. He'd pull
Now,
scrub.
yeah.
He pulled a scrub job too.
But if you remember, as a wrestler, as Dangerous Danny Davis, he wore that white lycra shirt, that spandex
Yes.
shirt,
Yes.
because when you saw him as Dr. X, he was all tatted up.
Oh,
Right.
I know.
So you
Right.
didn't know, like, wait, that
Right,
ain't Danny
right,
Davis,
right.
that's
As soon as
Dr.
we-
X.
As soon as we saw the tats, we'd have been like, that's Dr. X.
That's Dr. X.
So here you go, Chris. Here's a
Yeah.
real blast. Here's a real blast from the past.
Okay.
Harley Race.
Oh,
Mm.
I know that name.
Harley Race was a badass.
The greatest wrestler in God's green earth.
Yes.
That gimmick.
Oh yeah.
So I did some research last night, and I read
Okay.
these names, and I'm like, wow, yeah, I remember him now. it knocked off cobwebs, and without him there would be no Ric Flair.
Correct. He made Ric
'Cause
Flair.
it's basically the same gimmick. I mean, he really kind of set the tone in that kind of like showboat.
Oh yeah.
That's
Harley.
Well, you'd have no Hogan without the Iron Sheik.
Right.
Sheik
because they
made
were-
Hogan.
Yeah.
The Sheik basically let him have it and knew where it was going.
Yeah.
And knew where the company wanted to go and how it wanted to grow and use it. And he went, okay, take
Think
it.
about it like that. I like what you're saying here. Think about in a music aspect. I sent you guys the link of Bryan Adams singing War Machine, which everybody knows is a Kiss song. Bryan Adams co-wrote that song with Gene in '82. Then, Kiss goes and records War Machine. It becomes one of their most popular songs. And then Bryan Adams finally decides, I'm going to put out the way I meant it to be when I wrote it. It's
Right.
not Kissified.
Both writers had complete rights to the song,
Yeah.
so they can both release it any way they want.
They're similar without being the same. Your point about Harley Race and Ric Flair is War Machine Kiss with War Machine Bryan Adams. Same gimmick, different approach.
Right. And
Harley
it's a different-
Race was the steak. Ric Flair was the sizzle.
It's like the difference between getting a brick oven pizza at Nino's and a brick oven pizza at Jack's. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's a little bit different.
I've
But
never heard
I mean,
either
all
one.
those guys in the '80s kind of made each other's career. Andre the
Oh
Giant.
hell, yeah.
What was another? Macho Man Randy Savage,
Macho Man and
Dusty Rhodes. I mean,
everybody ripped
without-
off Dusty Rhodes.
Now, are
Yeah,
Nino's and
and-
Jack's local pizza places?
yeah, Jack's brick
Yes.
oven over in
Norwich.
on 82,
Oh, okay.
and Nino's Route 32, Uncasville. Good, very good. I had a
Check
pie
it
out
out.
of this place.
Well,
I got a
yeah,
pie out
and
of this place
in
called
the 80s,
Pascal's.
you had the Samoan Hawaiian connection.
Yeah,
They literally had their own. They had their own federation for the most part. All that whole thing going in between Florida and Hawaii was nuts.
I'm not familiar with that.
Well, that's where all of the this whole family is related. Like the Rock, the Samoans,
Rocky
they're all
Johnson.
they're all family, and they all
Okay.
came from basically the same place in fucking Hawaii. And
Yeah.
they had their own started their own. It was basically a Hawaiian wrestling league.
Yeah.
Then when Vince started doing the draw-ins, Vince would shop them. So they'd do their own shows, and then they'd go work for Vince a little bit. And then
Yeah.
go back.
Because you mentioned it, Afa, the Wild Samoan, died last week. His brother Sika a couple months ago. When they came from Samoa to Hawaii, and they got tied up with Maivia.
To the Rock.
Oh yeah, that whole
what I mean?
family is so intertwined, and they've left such a footprint. My friend Randy
still runs to today. I mean, literally, you've got the Rock chiming in, not for nothing, but on the Reigns thing.
Yeah, my friend Randy just texted me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aram. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? It's the whole that whole bloodline thing goes so far back, actually, in pro wrestling, back to days before Vince was like a conglomerate. Back when Vince wanted to just shop around and pull you in.
Well, how many of those guys were working for Vince at one time? You had the Samoans as the tag team champions.
Right.
Rocky Johnson was an attraction. Peter Maivia worked with the WWE till the day he died in 82, whatever. Then the Samoans, Afa and Sika's son came in as a third Samoan, but then became one of the head shrinkers. Rikishi was another head shrinker.
Rikishi.
What about Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter?
She's running for president of the United States.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a different one.
I think Herm's head's going to explode. My friend Randy just chimed in. He said, maybe I missed it. We're 45 minutes into the show, and only now I'm hearing the name Ric Flair. He owned the 80s. My favorite memory is when the Mega Powers exploded. That was good shit, Randy.
I don't know what that was, but
Hulk Hogan and Macho Man as a tag team. You got lust in your eyes for Elizabeth. And they basically beat the shit out of each other. You turned my guts. You got lust for Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Oh. Order your food in Macho Man's voice. Get 20% off. Drop the elbow on your friend. Get your meal free.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'll drop an elbow. Fuck it.
I know you would.
Let me get one of those Baja Blast sodas. And, I need 3 Mexican melts. Ooh, yeah, 3 of them.
I'm going to get a cup of coffee with my breakfast. The cream rises to the top.
Get some of the caramel apple empanadas, and I want them.
All right. Before you snap into a Slim Jim here, give me your memory, your earliest memory or your favorite memory.
My earliest memory is long before Vince was a real fucking thing. Junior was, anyway.
Yeah.
Junior was just a punk analyst at the time, was up in Massachusetts catching matches on a Saturday on 56 and just watching the Wizard.
The Wizard. The Grand Wizard or
the Grand Wizard, the manager.
Yeah.
Just I don't remember who he was running, but just that was it right there. I was like, I want that guy's job.
And here you are.
I was man. I want that guy's job. I want the hat. I want the jacket. I want that guy's job.
Oh, it was the Grand Wizard. Had to be Ernie Roth.
Oh, good.
Always sounded like that one aunt you have that smokes too much cigarettes.
Yeah,
man, I'm bringing superstar Billy Graham.
Billy Graham for you. We're gonna do it, and it's gonna be here. Yeah, like like one of the sisters on fucking on The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Selma.
God.
I don't know what my first memory is. Some of my favorites. One's not a favorite. Watching Backlund lose to the Sheik, ending that title run, that hurt. But again, you remember where you were when you saw it. Month and a half later, Hogan beats the Sheik on television, wins the championship.
Piper's Pit.
That was next on my list. Was the Piper Snuka coconut.
You put the Snuka
okay
coconut.
How okay, go around the table. How much shit did Roddy Piper say in between 84 and death that he could never get away with today?
And he couldn't get away with it then. Remember when he fucking had that thing? I think the guy's name was Slick, and he compared his lips to pedals, and he said pedals.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a Piper's Pit now?
No, it'd be so sanitized.
People would just
that, and he'd be a zombie.
No, that's the thing. Do a straight old Piper's Pit, and just the whole crowd just.
Oh yeah, you'd have people crying in the crowd being triggered.
Oh yeah, it looked like the election photos from the Hillary thing.
In that thing with Snuka, he brings a pineapple out and he goes, "It should remind you of the women in your country. Bushy hair, round on the bottom." Like, motherfucker. He's throwing bananas at him. He said, "You can't climb like I didn't get you a tree so you could climb like a monkey." And I'm like, I watch that shit back now. I'm like, all right, I'm still laughing at it. And I'm like, that wouldn't fly today.
And the funniest part
you're
about
watching
that
it now, like, my God, that is fucking
so as fucked up as that was, then they go ahead and make a Saturday morning cartoon with him starring in it for all the little kids to see.
Yeah, Piper and Snuka were in it, and that cartoon was so stereotyped. You remember they had the interludes with the actual guys, like Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant buys a car. He ends up leaving with like a backhoe because he's so big.
It was a. The fuck was it? A bulldozer.
Yeah,
I remember that clip. Or they went to buy shoes and they couldn't put shoes on him, so he wore shoe boxes on his feet.
Yep. Or they take Snuka and he's cliff diving. But he used to do that as a kid. He would say people would throw quarters off the cliff and he would try to get them before they reached the water.
I remember every fucking person on that show.
Oh, but that show was
come on, man. That show was completely born out of when Roddy ran his mouth about Albano and about Lauper. They'd already discussed it.
Oh yeah.
And they figured that was it. You had Cyndi Lauper for 6 months with some bullshit between him and fucking her and Albano and Piper, and they milked that sumbitch for 6 months and then used it to totally formulate fucking WrestleMania.
Yep, and then the MTV specials after that, they rode that wave for a year and a half.
They fucking that entire concept is the reason. It was what built and was there at WrestleMania 1. She was there. That was the draw. Cyndi Lauper was there. That was WrestleMania 1. If it wasn't for the cross with music, WrestleMania wouldn't have been big enough to actually happen. No. Because once you brought in Lauper, you started getting people like Kathy Lee fucking Crosby at number 1 calling like, we've never seen this shit before ever. Yep. And that's the entire WrestleMania 1. The world has never seen this.
10. It had to be 84.
85.
I was going to say it had to be 83, between 83 and 86.
Yeah, 85.
85.
Give me a second.
It was fucking 10 because it was right before my birthday in 85. That's right.
March 31st, 1985, according to Wikipedia.
I'm March 9th.
Because
I was 10 when it was. Yeah.
That album dropped in 1984 in the summer, like June of 84. She's So Unusual.
Which the wrestling album?
No. She's So Unusual.
She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper.
Stop mentioning that fucking record.
I love that record.
He's never gonna let it die.
The wrestling album where the wrestlers sang songs.
I have these frames that I bought for some of my old albums. I'm gonna buy him that fucking. I'm gonna buy him that fucking record.
Taylor Swift ought to be singing those songs.
Shove it in one of those frames.
Mail
it to him. Yeah. Put it in a room.
I would love to see Taylor Swift in a sparkledy outfit marching the stage singing Real American.
Or Grab Them Cakes by Junkyard
Dog. There you go. Grab the. Oh wow. See, stereotype like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it was.
You couldn't do that now in 2024.
Probably not.
No fucking way.
Herm kind of touched on the subject. 80s wrestling would be nothing, or certain guys would be nothing without their mouthpiece.
Compared to the gimmicks then.
Right, but the manager sometimes made or broke a particular guy.
Oh,
We'll start with Marsh. Who is your favorite? Even if you give me 2 or 3.
Is this favorite managers? I was gonna
favorite
ask
managers.
this.
Yes.
Oh man, going back.
So many good ones.
I'm going back. I'm gonna say Bobby the Brain Heenan.
That's one of mine.
And
Definitely.
I'm gonna go with a little, not, I can't say obscure, but classy Freddie Blassie.
Love it.
I believe he managed the Sheik and Volkov.
Yep. Absolutely. What about you there, Lynch?
Well, Lou Albano, wasn't he a coach for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He managed several wrestlers.
Didn't his hate, like, when I would remember him from like 83 to 89.
I met him at the sub base during the Sergeant Slaughter thing.
Oh yeah. During that time period, you had guys like Morocco, Snuka for a short spell.
He had Morocco for a while. Yes.
I always thought I always thought his shtick was entertaining. I mean,
the rubber bands on his face.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw him in the Cyndi Lauper video, and then I asked my wrestling friend, "Who the fuck is that?" Because you told me he's a wrestler. Oh, that's Captain Lou Albano. I'm like, "What the fuck is with the things in his face?" He's like,
Bobby Heenan told a story on a video, not when I met him, but on a video where they would get together before it exploded, and they would record out of this field house, maybe 5,000 seats in Pennsylvania somewhere, and every Thursday they would do their tapings, and Lou Albano would get fired every Thursday because he'd come to the shows tanked,
ripped, fucking drunk.
Oh yeah, stark raven drunk.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it only the heels that had managers?
Mostly, yes. Every now and again, you had a good guy with a manager. Backlund had a manager.
I mean, they had fucking Albano. Well,
yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. The manager was always a secondary point of fight.
Right. Or an instigator.
The manager was always built into the theme and to the story. The manager was distracting the ref
while the South would be like throwing chairs and shit.
Right. Was while the ref, he was distracting the ref while the guy's beating the hell out of him, getting an edge.
Very few back as good guys back had a manager.
The wrestlers in just the right position, and they're lifting a leg onto a rope and then telling him, "Hey, the leg's on a rope."
I got one for you.
Good.
We would be remiss in honor of Psycho Sid if we did not mention the $1 Million Man.
Ted DiBiase was a great manager.
Managed Sid Vicious?
Yeah. After his career ended in the early 90s, yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I remember when DiBiase wrestled. I didn't realize he went on to manage.
Yeah. Takana, and then no,
Bundy,
he was his enemy, his like foe were the Undertaker and Lex Luger back later on.
Yeah.
His wrestling personality was a perfect fit as a manager. So that's a little bit later, but when he was big in his heyday in the 80s, he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah. I want to go back to finish off Matt's point. The good guy managers I remember, Backlund had Arnold Skoland when Bigelow was a good guy. Bam Bam Bigelow. He had
Bam Bam Bigelow. I saw him wrestle at Norwich Tech.
Yep. He had Sir Oliver Humperdinck. The Road Warriors, no matter if they were good guys or bad guys, had Precious Paul Ellering, who is still doing. He's like 104 years old. He's still managing to this day.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And I remember Joe telling stories, Joe Laurinaitis, over the years after I became friends with him, about how they'd get their tickets from the office, Hawk and Animal. And they're like, okay, well, we got our tickets. We're afraid we're going to lose them. Paul would basically be like the actual manager. He would manage their finances. He'd book their flights. He'd book their hotels. All Hawk and Animal had to do was show up, paint your face, put on the shoulder pads, go out and kick ass.
And go home. That's it. Yeah. And he was literally a true manager. He was not.
Yeah. And according to Joe,
to the word.
Yeah, and according to Joe, he wouldn't have his house, the cars, the life he was able to give his wife and kids had it not been for Paul Ellering managing their finances. Because he said, you put Hawk and I in a car, and if we made $1,000 that night, we spent $1,200.
I was going to say we spent $1,000 that night.
Yeah. So Paul really took care of them. All right. So since it seems like Marsh got this list the way I laid it out. I gave you I gave you what I wanted to ask, but the way it's running down, Marsh is kind of leading us into the next category. The way I have it written down. No,
well, I didn't. I saw that the list was posted. I didn't pay attention. I wanted.
I moved it around.
Well, it's funny because I'm thinking, oh, it'll be fun to ask about managers, and the next thing you know, this is asking about managers.
Right, and since we just did the managers and we ended off talking about the Road Warriors. What about tag teams? Everybody gave their managers, right? Herm, you gave your manager, right?
My managers were I liked Bobby Heenan.
Everybody loves Bobby Heenan.
And Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji.
He was on my mind too.
Fuji makes the top. He was, if you remember, when we did our Make Our Wrestling stable, Mr. Fuji was my manager of choice.
Yep. I remember Herm and I sitting in the 90s in our apartment watching wrestling, and I think we missed the rest of the show because they did one of those upcoming at Hartford where I do the 30-second interviews. Yokozuna was set to face Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And I remember the promo was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you have a one cross eye. After my Yokozuna done with you, you have two cross eyes.
Did Big Boss Man tag team with anybody?
Yeah. Well, he was the one-man gang. He became Akeem. They were known as, which you couldn't get away with today.
Right.
Jive Brothers.
The Twin Towers.
I thought they were the Jive Brothers.
No, Akeem was the
you couldn't get away with Hakeem either because the cultural appropriation people would have lost their shit.
Yeah, they would have.
Big fat American white guy is hockey and fucking African dress.
Even Kamal, the Ugandan headhunter, would be fucking
right. I mean, at least he was of the right ethnic group.
He was black as fuck.
He hit the right end of the color palette.
He said that out loud.
I did.
All right. Right. All right. Starting with Matt Marsh, let's go to the tag teams. Who did you love for tag teams?
I'm trying to fucking think. I having a tough time remembering any fucking of the non-heel fucking tag teams.
They were the best ones.
The heel ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I gotta fucking dig back in, and I'm gonna have to go with freaking Volkov and freaking the Iron Sheik.
All right.
That was the first one I recall.
Good enough. What do you got, Lynch?
He took my answer.
That's okay.
See who else? You're
not going to get an 8-10 on this because he took your answer.
That's where I was. I was like, fuck, who else is there? Because you'd have the spontaneous tag team matchups too.
The guy, Mr. Fuji was a manager. Demolition.
Wow.
Yeah, Axel and Axe and Smash. That's like
the best knockoff tag team in the world.
The Hart Foundation. I forgot about them.
There you go.
Yeah. The Killer Bees.
Oh shit! Okay. Yeah.
And then you got, of course, Sheik and Volkov. Dream Team. Brutus and
Beefcake and Valentine.
Greg Valentine.
That's what I was thinking. Beefcake was on a tag team, and I'm like, who the fuck did he
was?
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Brutus Beefcake was entertaining too. I always got a kick out of him.
Absolutely. Herm shaking his head.
What are you shaking your head for?
Now
because you're missing his favorite,
Hart, weren't they?
Yes.
You're all fucking wrong.
Well, I haven't gone yet.
The greatest tag team to ever wrestle was the Rock and Roll Express.
Ooh.
Who was in that?
Yeah, there you go.
Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Excuse me, Herm. The Midnight Express would like to have a word with you. But those four guys together, man, for 3 years, they lit it up.
They just lit it. They did light it the fuck up, bro. Like
my man came out in public and said the Rock and Roll Express and did not blink an eye over it.
Precursor outfits to Yarn Man.
Yep. You had
so
how
much
many
fringe.
spin-offs?
Matt should love them. More fringe than fucking Harley Davidson and the Marlboro
Man.
So there it is.
Now you got my attention.
See?
There we go.
See? That's
my favorite tag team right there. Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man.
Did you say more fringe?
Now, what's
Yeah,
Fringe?
Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. I loved the British Bulldogs.
Starlight Express.
Can't go. Who?
I love the British Bulldogs. The British Bulldogs is
Oh,
what
I forgot
lets me
about
in
them.
on wanting a fucking English bulldog.
They had a dog
And
as a
literally-
mascot.
Yep.
Literally, I'm like literally like knowing like at the age of 9, those dogs are $3,200, and I'm gonna own one. Like, fuck.
Did you ever?
No, not yet. I've had chances to. My only what I
They got a
did
lot of
learn
health
later.
problems from what I
Well,
hear.
what I learned later is their health problems and hips, and you can't do anything with them. Like they're great if you just want to like leave them in the house on the couch and never
Look
do
at
anything.
'em. Yeah.
Yeah, like go outside and come back in. Like you couldn't leave the house warm here. You'd have to have the house has to be 72. Why? You guys like it cold? No, it's a fucking dog.
And they fart like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. So I chose different dogs only because for health reasons. But yeah, I still would love to own one.
All right, shut up now.
When I'm older and don't go anywhere or do anything.
When you're older,
There
you're
you
there,
go.
dude.
There you go. I still have a list.
I'm there, bitch. I'm there.
Where was I? Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. Midnight Express is just a little above. Obviously the British Bulldogs. Tully Blanchard, Nard Anderson, the Von Erichs. Strike Force, Tito Santana and Rick Martel. Great.
Oh,
Oh, I
fucking
forgot
team.
about those guys.
But when it comes to tag teams in the 80s, man, there's only one. And God
Ooh.
rest my friend Joe, Hawk and
I
Animal,
knew it
the
was
Road
coming.
Warriors, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, here comes the fun part where Herm and I are going to shit all over each other, starting with Marsh. Who was the worst tag team you ever saw?
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna need some time to think about this.
All right.
Worst tag team I ever saw. Yeah, skip on to the next one. Let me ponder this for a bit.
All right, I'll take your spot because somebody already kind of mentioned it.
Fuck.
Big Boss Man and Akeem, the Twin Towers.
Worst tag team I ever fucking saw.
Oh, on a big level, you can't say like, Joe Blow
Like
from Kokomo and
The
Dr.
fabulous
X.
fucking Freebirds and shit.
Hey now.
Okay, worst be one I don't like.
Yes, one you thought sucked.
The
Whether as a kid-
Conquistadors. The Conquistadors.
Ooh, the
Oh,
Conquistadors.
the Conquistadors.
It's so gay in their
I mean,
gold.
I saw some
fucking
shit
span-
later on in the late 90s.
Gold
where
fucking
some
I
spandex.
dude-
think Matt would like that. It's very, very Megaforce-esque. It's
Yes.
with the gold freaking sparkles.
yeah, dude. It's
Yes.
almost like Matt should be like, who are those two sexy?
I cannot remember the name of the tag team, but there was these two fucking in the late 90s. Scotty Too Hottie and some other fuck.
Grandmaster Sexy.
Master Sexy.
Yeah, I'd been out of
Two-
wrestling for a while, and I tuned in one night. And I'm like, "What the fuck is it?"
What am I looking
That worm was fantastic. That move, that was awesome. Good call by you. All right,
wow.
Lynchifier, your worst tag team.
I just said it. The Conquistadors.
Oh, that's right. All right, Herm, be careful.
He knows where you live.
Which was
It'll
the
take him a
one
few
where-
days to get there.
Which was
Yeah.
the one when Hogan went heel and they're all dressed in black and he had
The
black
NWO.
NW New World Order. Yep.
Yeah, well, that was when they were crossing federations.
Yeah.
major federations.
I
together.
read up on that.
Interfederation.
The Bushwhackers are
Thank
the
you.
worst tag
Oh.
team.
Oh yeah,
God,
yeah.
no.
Those are those two, the two fucking hillbillies.
Those two idiots. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Once
If you
again, the best representatives they could find for Australia was those two. It's
I-
like
I go
fucking
back-
Olympics pre-show. It's fucked.
I used to
I'm
watch
looking them up
the-
right. I'm looking
yeah.
them up right now.
I used to watch the Florida show when they were known as the Kiwi Sheep Herders, and they were blood and guts and beating the shit out of everybody. And then 3 weeks later, I saw them on WWF as the Bushwhackers and sticking out their tongues and licking people. I'm like, you ruined the Sheep Herders. This is ass.
Oh, what about the? Here we go. I just looked something up. The Moondogs.
You look something up. We allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Randy
allowed.
Colley and Sailor White.
Yep. Randy Colley was actually Demolition Smash before Demolition Smash.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Managed by Captain Lou Albano.
Oh, hello.
The Moondogs were
Nice.
interesting. I'll
Nice
say
movie.
that.
spot.
I don't know. Worst tag team. Jesus. There's so many terrible ones. But I'll go with the Fantastics because I just didn't like the pretty boy teams back then.
Tugboat and
Tugboat.
The earthquake and typhoon,
fuck.
the natural disasters. Look, as far as a worst tag team, I won't call them the worst. I just didn't like them as a kid, but we just talked about them earlier. The Samoans, because they scared the piss out of me and they beat up all my favorite guys.
I love
Really?
Samoans.
Oh, looking
Well,
back
that
now, I
sounds
could
great.
watch their matches all day long. It's an art. But when you're
Samoans,
10 years
in the
old,
beginning, the Samoans were the honey badger of the fucking WWF. They did not care. They came in, did quick shows, and left. They fucking hyped it up, killed everybody, and walked the fuck out. I loved it. I thought it was just brutal all the time.
absolutely.
So lovely.
And
Yeah.
what was the one? Sid was in it for a hot minute, but then a young man named Mark Calloway joined the team. Wonder whatever happened to that guy. The Skyscrapers was Danny Spivey and Sid Vicious, and then Sid got hurt and it became Mark Calloway. Whatever happened to him?
He's dead now. But he plays the gong.
Oh, he plays the dead guy.
Yeah, he plays the dead guy.
Yeah, you can go from a shitty tag team and become one of the most iconic characters in wrestling.
Ever.
The Undertaker.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, so this one's a little weird. I called it underrated, but we'll call it who should have been bigger than they were. Like the one wrestler from the 80s you thought maybe should have been world champ, maybe should have been bigger than they actually were.
Barry Horowitz.
Fucking love Barry Horowitz. And such a nice guy, too.
Barry Horowitz should have got a bigger slot than just a jobber. I really
Absolutely.
think they could have done something nice with Barry. I'm going to be honest.
He was so fluid in the ring, so smooth.
Yeah, he's excellent, but yeah, never got more than a decent jobber. A high-level jobber is what he ended up being.
That's right. What about you, Matt? Who do you got from the 80s that should have been bigger?
Should have been bigger. That would have had to have been freaking the guy with the poetry and the frisbees.
Oh, fuck.
Nah, I'm just fucking with you.
Thank God.
No, I'm surprised. I don't know how, even as a kid, I was like, what is this guy doing on here again?
Right? He's
Fuck.
losing to Kamala again.
I think I would have gone with freaking. I dug Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He didn't. I don't think he had a great gimmick, but his first one, not the second one, where he had the freaking dragon headpiece and he was shooting fire out of his fucking mouth and all that other shit. But
that's when the gimmicks were way out of control.
Yeah, that was like jumping the shark of the 80s gimmick scene.
Oh, hell yeah. What about you, Lynch?
That's a tough one because again, I didn't watch it weekly, so I only caught it here or there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody who maybe comes to mind. Was Owen Hart? Yeah, he was champion once, right?
He was still alive then. Yeah.
Listen to you. Yeah, but he was
really
doing the Blue Blazer gimmick back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blue
Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean that.
Doug Bigelow.
He was there, but he wasn't. He didn't like.
He didn't do much.
He wasn't a superstar. He was like
well,
you said earlier.
He had a couple acting roles after that, Major Pain and a few other things. But
what did he? Chris, what belts did he hold?
None.
Nothing.
I don't think he.
The ECW World Championship. That's it.
Right.
I can think of.
Right. Not with Vince, but
no,
I'm talking Vince.
He didn't do.
Vince,
He didn't
that's
have
all I
any
knew.
championships with Vince.
Yeah.
Not at all.
He did some acting shit afterwards, but
yeah,
because big personality, big dude, decent. He performed a decent wrestling act. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought he was pretty cool
for a near 400-pound guy to do off the top rope
big,
stuff.
Big fucking dude, and that's what impressed me. Even
he was
at
agile for his size.
He was active like towards the later part of the 80s, like 86, 87. So
yeah.
I'm a little bit older. I can appreciate the athleticism of him, this massive fucking guy jumping up on the top rope and splatting on the fucking mat. That had to hurt.
Absolutely. All right, Herm, who's your underrated pick from the 80s?
I gave it Barry Horowitz.
Oh, that's right. All right, I had 3, but I don't know if it's their own doing, and you guys took one of them. It's not a big deal. Bam Bam Bigelow, I think, should have been bigger.
Yeah.
Whether it was their own problems or whether it was just the people pushing them didn't see anything in them. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff should have been huge, like champion huge, like having the championship. And Barry Windham, man, Barry Windham should have been world's heavyweight champion 3 times over, but never got the break. That's just me. I don't know. Now comes my favorite, where we all get to piss. Somebody's going to piss somebody else off. Who was overrated?
Oh, the honky tonk man.
Thank God.
Concur.
Everybody's nodding their head. Everybody's
Concur.
nodding their head.
I couldn't fucking stand him even as a kid.
I loved the gimmick, but as Bruce Pritchard said when I interviewed him one time, and then the bell rang.
Yeah, exactly. He was all pomp and circumstance up until the match
bell
started.
to bell. Barry Horowitz would have been a better honky tonk man. Done. Too easy. Herm, are you going to concur? Or you got another one?
Well, the honky tonk man sucks.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett.
Wow. In the 80s. In the 80s, you are 1,000% correct.
Yeah, I'm not talking about his 90s career.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 80s, he was ass.
In the 80s, he was ass and completely overrated. I was actually surprised he made it to McMahon. When he did, I was like, with Jeff Jarrett, like Jeff Jarrett, like haha, Jeff Jarrett, like because he used the same fucking gimmick.
But they slapped the
outfit.
outfit.
They put the outfit now with it, so it was just like. But
and that kind of made it, yeah.
Yeah, it's the only thing that made it work. But yeah,
this one for
Jeff Jarrett was just not.
This one for me is way too easy. Go ahead, Lynch, please.
I can honestly say that I have heard guys of our age say the Hulk Hogan was overrated.
Yeah, but if you look at it from
how do you guys feel about that?
I think
he did what
he party.
He did what he needed to do, and he put an ass every 18 inches. That's how that business works.
Yeah.
I mean,
draw
if you can do what you need to do in the ring, and you put an ass in the seat, and they know that you put an ass in the seat, that's all that matters. Like, I don't think overrated at all.
No,
I think they over pimped him in some of his storylines, and some of his storylines sucked.
Yeah,
but
I can give you a
draw, bro. He had the draw. And are you going? Look, Michael Jordan in his prime. Are you going to tell Michael to sit the fuck down because we don't need you the rest of the year? We've won enough. No, because then nobody's showing the fuck up to the seats.
Right.
So if they're sucking up seats, we're sucking up. They're pushing Hogan.
And on top of that, to go to your point,
because I got sick of looking at him.
Vince is a fucking pimp and a whore at the same time.
But if you think about it from there, you got your ass every 18 inches. Mom and dad are in these 2 seats, but then you got 2 kids and they want the T-shirt, the phone hand,
You've got the
action
whole
figure
family there.
The wrestling ring, the fucking I mean, the cartoon was nothing more than a glorified commercial for the fucking
Oh yeah, every one of those. There was every commercial in every set in between was some sort of a toy.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling buddies, the pillow buddies.
Shit.
The pillow biters? What?
The pillow buddies.
The pillow
biters.
Oh, not biters. Okay.
No.
This is.
I had a
little later on.
Pillow buddy.
Yeah. This is a little later
dark,
on, but
you could probably see that on Dark Side of the Ring. The pillow biters.
This is a little later on. It's in the 90s, but I think Lex Luger was way overrated.
He's on my list.
I
only have 2 on my list for this one. Yes, absolutely. He was a body, and then the bell ring.
You know what?
In the 80s, yes. I mean, you had the whole
tip-top shape.
thing.
Yeah, he was in totally tip-top shape, man. That guy was fucking cut.
Oh, hell yeah. And like Herm said, in the 90s, once he learned how to do the job and work inside that ring, he was pretty good.
Work inside the ring and work promos right. He did great with Vince.
In the 90s, he was terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
the 80s. Sorry, in 80s.
Horrible. It was horrible.
Because he started in like the late tail end of the 80s, like 87, 88, right?
Yeah, you're right around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like floating in and out of the universe of the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
I had two on my list, and Lex Luger was one. The other one, it hurts me because in the 80s I liked him, and then you watch his 75 comebacks and you realize, dude, this guy is terrible. The Ultimate Warrior.
I already knew who you were going to say.
Being a big fan of him back in the day.
Loved me some Ultimate Warrior. It was the
Dude,
music. It was the presentation.
Watching that show at the Guard Arts Center.
And the bell rings. But I got to give him credit, though. That match was probably one of his 3 best matches in his career.
Of all time career. That was a career topper. WrestleMania match.
Oh, absolutely. The next year against Savage was another one that goes on his top 3. And I will throw in his match with Rick Rude in the cage.
No shit.
But then again, think of who you got working with you. Macho Man Savage, amazing. Hulk Hogan knows how to work a crowd. Rick Rude, just fan-fucking-tastic.
Right. Technically, all you have to do to have a really good match is just follow somebody's lead and instruction.
Yeah, let them walk the match, and you just do what they tell you.
There was some charismatic shit that went on, that's for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. Without a doubt. And look, the whole presentation between the paint, the hair, the neon colors, the music, the shaking of the ropes, him speaking gibberish in his fucking promos. If you can understand an Ultimate Warrior promo, please email me at cburns19@gmail.com. Give me a Warrior to English dictionary so I can figure out what the fuck he was saying for 13 years. I'd really like to know.
Oh, shit.
All right. We all had that. We all had that one as a kid that no matter what they did, you hated their ass. The most hated bad guy. No, most hated bad guy. Oh, I'll add that. I'll add that to the list. I said we'll go along. The worst gimmick. That'll be later.
Most hated bad guy.
Yeah, when you were a kid, they came on TV, or you bought a ticket to the show. Who did you want to see get their ass whipped? Horrible.
Oh, that would be Mount the South Jimmy Hart.
Okay.
That was every time I just wanted to see his bony ass get picked up and pitched out into the audience. But I mean, that's how it was supposed to. I mean, it is his job. I was supposed to hate him.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Yeah. All right, Lynch, here you go. I gave you the script on this one.
Fuck.
Fuck is not an answer.
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund wasn't a heel.
Kurt Angle.
Roddy Piper was a heel in the 80s. Bob Backlund was not.
He was amazing.
Roddy Piper.
Fucking Piper.
Roddy Piper. Oh, man. Good call.
Piper.
I got a couple on my list, but they all have caveats.
There's always a caveat.
Well, these guys switched back and forth during the 80s, so I could easily put them on a favorites list and on the bad guy list. But I'll get to that in a minute because, Herm, you turn on the TV, it's Saturday morning. Who do you hate the most?
Black Jack Mulligan.
Fuck you. I loved Mulligan.
I'm trying to remember Black Jack Mulligan.
Loved Mulligan.
Oh, man.
Oh, damn. All right. Strangely enough, on my, I only have 3 names on my list. They switched during the 80s at one point from one side to the other. Nobody from NWA or any other promotion, which I found weird. But the 3 names that popped into my head was Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka. Man, when Snuka first came in, he was a bad guy. You're just like, fuck, he's going to beat the shit out of Bob Backlund again. And then he turned good guy, and everybody loved him. And Andre,
that was a nice turn. That was a nice turn that worked really well for him.
Yeah, it did.
The rest of his career,
Well,
even when he turned a little heelish, he was. And the fans still let good Jimmy Snuka be a little heelish.
Yeah,
and the dark side. Yep.
Well, again, I go back to going to the wrestling matches, and it's Snuka Backlund, and a year later, Snuka's a good guy, and he's in there with Morocco, and I'm on top of my chair cheering, And it's like a year ago, I wanted this guy, you know, in a body bag outside the arena. Now I'm like buying the foam "I love you" hand. It says Jimmy Snuka on it, and all of that shit. But Andre the Giant, man, as a kid, I loved Andre. When he turned, it was like somebody smacked my mother in the mouth. It was like, how dare you? How dare you? And that's how I felt at like 12, 13 years old. How dare you?
Well, it was tough too because they turned him, and now you're stuck watching a cartooner as a good guy. I was very
exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say, brother.
I was very conflicted.
Right? Why is Andre smiling on the cartoon? Yep. He's smiling in the cartoon, and on TV, he's choking Hulk Hogan.
What the hell is going on, Mommy?
I'm so confused.
Right. All right. Everybody had one in the 80s. I want to hear it. Not the best. Who was your favorite? And you can have 2 or 3 choices if you like.
Andre the Giant.
Okay. Can't go wrong.
Even though I have heard he's overrated, Hulk Hogan, personality plus.
Yeah.
And Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, nice.
Sergeant Slaughter. I liked his gimmick.
Yeah.
He was very entertaining.
Yeah.
All right.
He was cool. I'm having met him later in life. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Very, very soft spoken. I was very, very surprised.
Oh, Slaughter's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
He just had a birthday the other day too. His daughter just posted it. I'm friends with her.
I told you guys the connection between Sergeant Slaughter with my wife's uncle, right?
They both have big chins.
Yeah. No, they somehow knew each other. Because I think Sergeant Slaughter lived in Connecticut for quite a few years.
He did for a while, yeah.
He did.
And he and my wife's uncle became friends.
No shit.
So
yeah, there wasn't a time in the 80s where you didn't see him at some car dealership with his camouflage Cadillac signing 8x10s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So when my brother-in-laws, the twins, were 12, 13 years old, so they walk in his uncle's house in Canterbury, and there's fucking Sergeant Slaughter, full uniform, in their fucking living room. They shit their pants.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
Flash forward to like 1998, 1999 when I met him at Uncle Phil's house. He's super nice guy.
No shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes they say never meet your heroes. That was a good one. You know,
dude.
I've met people in my life who I looked up to, and then you're like,
it was a letdown.
Douchebag.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, meeting Bob Backlund and interviewing Bob Backlund and knowing that when the red light went on, he came in, he's soft-spoken, and your name is Chris. Hello, Chris, I'm Bob, and da-da-da-da-da. And, I've met you over the years. Oh, okay, where? And you tell him, he goes, oh, yeah, that was January something. I was at the New Haven Coliseum.
Yeah, he was the Corey of his own wrestling.
Of his own career.
Yeah,
he told me the night I met him.
That was the Thursday night, and the power went out, and it was raining just a little bit. And there was three ambulances that drove by during the match, and he is literally the Rain Man of his own wrestling career.
I told him the night I interviewed him, I told him I'd met you 2 or 3 times over the years, but the one that meant the most was when you were making your comeback, and we were in the 3rd row, and we had the sign, "Welcome home, champ." And he goes, oh, yeah, New Haven Coliseum. That was September of 1992. I was in the 3rd match from the end. I faced Shawn Michaels. Razor Ramon did the run-in. I won by disqualification. And the main event was...
I had a ham and Swiss on rye for lunch. Like, what?
I may or may not have taken a shit after that match.
Right. Sure. And I'm pretty sure it probably had mustard and onion on it. Like, Bob!
And I had my new underwear on.
For real.
Exactly.
For real. And I was wearing my lucky draws that day, too.
I was one of the few years later when he did the crazy Mr. Backlund gimmick where he remembered me from the year earlier, and he's making kids. If you couldn't recite all the presidents, you didn't get an autograph. And I walked up and he goes, you're the guy with the sign. I'm like, what sign? He goes, last year in this building. I'm like, yeah. He goes, come here. And he signed 2 8x10s for me and sent me out the door. And the other people in the line were like, wait, why does he get that?
Because he's a cool dude.
Oh yeah, because his Corey memory, fucking.
That's right.
It's like that guy had the sign.
Yeah,
does not.
He remembered, but he remembered that sign. Fucking 20 years later, 22, 24, however many years later. You're like, yeah, I remember that. And my daughter was in the crowd. That's why Carrie and I are friends now on Facebook. Because as we're leaving, she's sitting with her friend and another person in the crowd. And we're walking up the stairs and she looks at me and she goes, I just want to let you know my dad really appreciates that sign. I'm like, how do you know? She goes, because I'm his daughter. I'm like, bullshit. She is quick on the draw, whips out her driver's license. I'm like, well, I guess you are. I don't remember what the picture said, what the picture looked like. I remember I focused in on the address. I wanted to know where Bob Backlund lived. And I'm not going to say it here, but Herm and I had it on our fridge in case we ever wanted to write to Bob Backlund. 65 some road. I'm not going to say what road. Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Yeah, like he literally lived 25-minute drive from the Vince's Mecca capital in Connecticut. He literally like drove to the whole WWF home office every day.
Shoot down 91, pick up 95, you're at the home office.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Herm, who's your favorite in the 80s?
The Big Boss Man.
Ooh. Very nice, very nice. There's another guy, charisma, but he could work, and he was another big guy that could do a lot of good shit.
And Bundy.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was 5. I knew that was coming, you sick son of a bitch.
5.
I couldn't narrow it down. Everybody knows my favorite wrestler of all time is Ric Flair. You can see my shirt. People say you can't hear a shirt. You can hear this shirt.
Woo! Dang.
So I made a quick list of 5. I'm not going to go into semantics. Obviously, Bob Backlund. Hulk Hogan. Magnificent Morocco.
I remember when you used to talk so much shit on the red and yellow.
Yes, I did. And then you realize how much I grew up a Hulkamaniac,
and the capitalists grew, and you were like, this motherfucker just making dimes.
Bro. Well, no, I can actually walk this back. I loved the Hulk character up through and including about like mid 88, early 89. It was just like this is getting stale. I'm sick of the happy, kissing babies and hugging moms and shit.
Saying prayers and taking vitamins. I'm tired.
He made up for that with the Bubba Love Sponge porn.
Yeah. No, it changed when he did NWO.
Right. And he went half blackface.
Yep. And then when he came back and went back to the red and yellow in WWE, I was like, all right, I remember how cool this was.
I loved the red and yellow.
I do too. Now. Where did I leave off? Jimmy Snuka. And strangely enough, I know Herm would think it's going to be one of the other brothers, but man, was I a huge Kevin Von Erich guy. He was smooth. He was so fucking smooth. And that whole movie, obviously, because all the other brothers are dead, showed you what Kevin went throughout his life. And that just solidified that Kevin was my guy.
Yep.
All right. Let's see, where are we at? Marsh, if you could watch the matches of only one 80s star ever.
I don't get my my pick.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to come back to you. Your favorite of the 80s.
My favorite of the 80s. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to toss up. I got the red and yellow Hogan with the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you're a real
no, not that fucking one. And that's the only one I can find when I go to look it up. There was an instrumental version that they did.
It's on that stupid album you like.
No, it wasn't a stupid album I like, but the Real American one is as well. But I think it was the theme for the fucking cartoon as well.
Yes, it was. With the piano, it was very piano laden.
Yes, it was a piano fucking thing. And they did that. I remember listening to that on one of the Saturday Night's Main Event. But him, Roddy Piper, and I'm gonna go with Junkyard Dog because that's just the nostalgia factor for me.
You knew somebody was gonna pick Junkyard Dog for something.
I had the figure.
Biggest cokehead, Junkyard Dog.
He did all the coke.
He did all the
cakes.
Yeah,
all of it.
Cakes of cocaine.
You know, it's
like
fucked
an
up because
Alka-Seltzer.
my Junkyard Dog figure came with a chain around his neck.
Yes,
I don't think we'll be getting away with that shit now.
Probably not.
I thought you were going to say he came with a cocaine spoon and a dime of coke.
No, that wasn't kid friendly.
All right. So, Matt, if you could watch the matches of only one 80s star, who would it be?
Ooh, fuck. 180 star.
Yep.
Ooh. I'd probably Randy Savage.
Good point. Good choice.
I'm just gonna. I'm skipping to because I'm
he
going
was
with you on
entertaining
this
as
one.
hell.
Mine's a toss up between Savage and Flair. You can't name a bad match either one of them ever had.
No,
ever.
It was entertaining, even as a kid. And I'm like, he's an asshole, but I couldn't stop watching.
You were glued to it.
I was.
Good call.
And it wasn't even because of the hot manager shit. It was just he was just listening to him talk was just entertaining as hell.
She was hot because we were kids, and that was as close as we were going to get to a titty at the time.
Yeah,
she wasn't all that.
Catalog.
Yeah, she wasn't all that cute.
No, I met her at the airport. I mean, she was all right.
Yeah, she's no Liv Morgan, I'll tell you that.
She wasn't no Wendy Richter either.
Wendy Richter was hot back then. Jesus Christ. Ooh. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Lynch, you can only watch 180 star. Who's it gonna be?
I'm gonna pick Bob Backlund, honestly.
Nice.
Only because it would give me an opportunity to catch and see all of his wrestling career.
Nice.
Yeah, go back to because I caught him in the middle.
Solid.
A little bit at the end. You know,
if I could suggest a couple matches, go with Backlund Morocco, the 1 hour. I think it was either a lumberjack match or some sort of match. They went an hour, and you're never bored. And then Backlund Snuka in the cage. My very first professional wrestling match ever live.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Everything was downhill from there.
That was Jesus Christ. How old were you? Like 10?
10.
12?
10.
Yeah.
1982.
I was going to say that was 82, 83.
There's a hell of a match, too, because it was a story. You didn't need 50 flips and 75 finishing maneuvers. They told a story, and by the end, you were just like, fuck. You wanted more.
Yeah, I'll give that a watch.
Please do. Herm, you can only watch 1 star from the 80s for the rest of your life.
Cactus Jack.
Ooh.
Especially anything he did in Japan.
Oh.
That's a good pick, man.
Barbed wire, thumbtacks, broken glass,
exploding rings.
The Cactus
Jack in the 80s.
Fuck that
late
dude,
80s. Oh,
fuck that dude Love, and fuck the Hannibal concept.
Mankind.
Yeah, whatever. Give me Cactus Jack.
Ooh.
Anything in Japan.
Ooh.
Oh shit. Nice.
Ooh.
Yo, and it's eerie as fuck. It's eerie as fuck because it's complete silence.
Yeah, because the Japanese.
It's like a fucking art form to them. Like you'd be like screaming at the ballet for them, and it's literally complete fucking.
It's like kabuki
silence.
Yeah, like once every 8 minutes you'd hear ooh,
you'd hear like a gasp, and that's it. But other than that, it's completely silent except for the sounds of these two dudes beating the living shit out of each other and shit that would never fly in America.
The shit he did with Terry Funk. Oh Christ.
Oh my God. Just blood and cuts and
didn't they have the match, Herman?
Like rolls and bundles of barbed wire that they're fucking suplexing people on.
They
like,
had I was just about to ask you.
It was like a whole roll of the shit.
Yeah, it was Cactus and it was Terry. They had the what do you call it? The plywood, and they had the rolls of barbed wire on it, and they would suplex each other on it.
Yeah, and the ring was wrapped in fucking barbed wire on the corner posts. It was disgusting.
Can I throw one more? Can I throw one more on my list? Because man, I love this guy. Go ahead, Lynch, please.
I can't believe I forgot Mick Foley.
Yeah.
He
was in his early stages then too. That's how he made his name, was doing all that deathmatch shit.
Right. That he did all that Japanese deathmatch shit to make money in the beginning.
Yeah. By the time 89 rolled around, he got to the States.
WWE was mellow.
Yeah, he got to the Von Erichs had him first, and then WCW had him. his reputation was already like, if you like Marsh mentioned the magazines, you knew who he was.
Right. And that was a gimmick, right? He wasn't really retarded. Was
No.
he not?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, he's
No.
he's
Yeah.
dude. He's
smart
written
as a fucking
he's written
whip.
6 bestsellers.
Yeah, I mean, like, he'd be sitting like with any of us on the show. It's like the man knows his shit and can
Oh yeah. He may not have many of his teeth.
810.
Yeah, but
He may not have
he's
many
no
of his
810.
teeth. He may have one ear, but he's smart as shit.
Does he only have
No, I
one
met
fucking
him.
ear?
Yes.
Yes. He lost
I
an
met
ear
him
in
once.
the 90s.
Jesus.
In a match, no less.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going to say he Picasso'd himself in the middle of a fucking match. What happened? But
There's some grainy footage of it, but he tells the
Yeah, I'm
story,
good.
and it's pretty sick. No, you really couldn't see it. I've seen the footage. You don't see it happen. You see how it happened, but you don't see the ear fall off.
And you don't see the ear fall off, and you see how it happens, but you know that the result of what you saw somewhere, the ear does.
It's like Scarface. The theater of the mind plays tricks on you, and you think you saw it, but you didn't see it. I'm throwing one more name on my list because I can't remember a bad match, and again, gone too soon. Bruiser fucking Brody.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
remember the name.
what
I
am I?
was never a Bruiser Brody fan.
I love the Florida stuff on 61. The week he was supposed to fight Lex Luger in a cage, and I guess he and Luger had beef in the back room before the match. So they come out and Luger's like doing his thing. He's working, and Brody's just standing there. And then Brody fires one punch back. Luger climbs over the cage and just leaves. But Brody could work. I liked Brody. I loved the gimmick. It sucks that he got murdered, and sucks that guy never went to fucking jail. Peckerhead. Well, since one of you brought it up, we got a few minutes left. What was the worst gimmick of all time, Matt Marsh, in the 80s?
Oof. The worst fucking gimmick.
Anybody who answers the Red Rooster is immediately fired.
Oh, the worst gimmick.
Coco,
Because there were worse.
Coco and that fucking bird.
That was a decent gimmick.
Now I'm going to go back to the Ricky Steamboat Dragon Head shooting fire out of his mouth shit. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, let's take a really good popular guy who's been the world champion in
so.
WCW, and let's put him in a rubber lizard outfit. That's fucking fantastic. Good job, Vince. He must have been doing Junkyard Dog's cocaine after he left.
The Mountie.
When he wasn't.
The
Fuck
Mountie.
you. Fuck you.
Fuck you. That was awesome.
You.
Let's kick the shit out of him.
The Mountie was awesome.
From the third fucking row. Let's kick the shit out of him.
I don't know why. It just fucking annoyed the shit out of me.
I loved the Mountie.
I thought
the original.
that was awesome. Complete brick.
Drawing a line in the sand, Lynch. The initial iteration of the Mountie, the outfit, you had the slow horns, the almost like a Canadian war cry type thing. And here comes the Mountie. You fast forward a year later, and he's got his own song. I'm the Mountie. I'm like, fuck you! You ruined the Mountie.
The original iteration that they came out with the fucking the fucking stick,
stun gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. And then they kind of softened him up and kind of made him cartoony.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. They could have kept it, but they kind of literally Dudley Do-righted him. And God
damn, I love the Mountie.
Let's kick the shit out of him.
I gotta tell that story because Herm and I were at the Monday Night Raw in '93, and there was the Battle Royal, and the last four were Razor Ramon, Rick Martel, and the Mountie and his partner, whatever his fucking name was.
Yeah.
They were both dressed in Mountie outfits, and we're there live, so you didn't hear this on TV. They were on our side of the ring. And Razor Ramon's backing up like, what the fuck do I do? What the fuck do I do? And you hear the Mountie.
What are we going to do? And the Mountie goes, let's kick the shit out of him.
Yells like we're third row listening to us. Like, let's kick the shit out of him. It's those things you can only get live because that didn't get picked up on a TV mic.
It didn't get picked. No, and that didn't by the mics. But that night we watched what was supposed to be the next following week's show. They did a double taping.
Double taping, yeah.
So we saw we saw the show, the main event for the week to decide who the championship match was going to be for the Intercontinental, and then in the next hour and a half show, we saw the actual Intercontinental belt. So they weren't showing what we saw till the later that week when we went early in the week on Monday night. They're not showing that shit till Saturday or next Monday.
Monday.
And then the week after that, they will debut the championship match. So we were betting all the fucking kids in the neighborhood. I bet I'll bet you a candy bar Razor Ramon's gonna win the championship belt. No way. Matt is gonna beat his ass. Rick Martel.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll bet you a candy bar that Razor Ramon wins the Intercontinental belt, and he does it with a razor's edge. And that was so we had inside knowledge. We were betting with,
house money, basically.
The Marty McFly history book. It was kind of funny. Candy bar, bet you can't want to bet $1. We stole everything them kids had.
So
fuck you with the mountain,
Chris.
Yes.
How about the Shockmaster with his fucking stormtrooper helmet with the glitter on it,
falling through the wall? Oh, that was the worst debut ever. That's right up there with Paul Roma being a horseman. The little jobber guy from WWE is now a 4 horseman. No.
Yeah, no.
Stop it! You're ruining my horseman. Herm, what was your worst gimmick from the 80s?
I don't know. I liked him, but I couldn't stand Polka Dot Dusty.
Oh, come on.
Man. Oh, man.
Come on.
Couldn't stand Polka Dot Dusty.
Holy shit.
Dude, I don't care if Dusty Rhodes was dressed in a trash bag. I am a Dusty Rhodes guy.
Just didn't like Polka Dot Dusty.
The fact that Dusty told me I do a good Dusty impression is all I need. I don't care if he's dressed in polka dots or a Red Sox uniform. I don't care. He's Dusty fucking Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Oh. I got 3 and one of the tip of the hat to Marsh, my third one. The Honky Tonk Man was a terrible gimmick.
I just fucking hated it.
But they rode that horse till it died.
Oh yeah, for 4 or 5 years.
Back on.
And then get this, they take a badass like Greg Valentine and turn him into a boxcar Willie fucking Valentine and dye his hair jet black, and they had that stupid tag team.
Right.
So let's take a guy who has a fucking career, is a badass, people know him, people love him. Let's turn him into a sideshow.
Right. Let's just like literally.
You know what? I'm changing that. I'm going out of Honky Tonk Man. I'm just gonna say rhythm and blues. The worst fucking gimmick ever. How do you take one of my favorites from when I was a kid, badass biker gimmick, and turn him into the adorable Adrian Adonis?
Oh yeah,
terrible, absolutely fucking terrible. And my tip of the hat to Matt Marsh. How do you take a decent in-ring guy who had skills, was never going to be number 1, but he was never going to be the worst, and put him in a cap and gown and call Leapin' Lanny Poffo the fucking genius?
Yeah, I just never understood it.
It was ass from beginning to end.
He's throwing frisbees into the fucking audience and reading bad poetry. I was just like, is this a fucking opening act? I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, but then he did the poetry gimmick with the genius too. But
and I don't know about you, but I don't ever recall him winning a fucking match. He got I just remember him, repeatedly.
He had a couple when they debuted him, but yeah, when they debuted him.
Yeah, well, he never had won anything major.
Yeah, he was a house shows maybe, but he was a feeder, man. He was a feeder.
Every fucking Saturday.
Oh yeah, you got a new guy coming in. If they can't work with Lanny Poffo, they can't work.
Basically.
And yeah, he was the measuring stick, much like in the 90s they said that about 1-2-3 Kid. If you can't work with the kid, you can't work.
Like Poffo was literally a jobber, but he was the jobber that he was good enough to wrestle with the real guys, but he basically brought wrestled every new fucking wrestling entertainment act they brought in.
Right.
All
Here's
right,
the
Matt,
initiation for the new guy.
Right,
Matt,
he knew
Matt,
exactly what to do, and if you can't do it with him, then you
Then
cannot
you're-
be able to do it with anybody else.
We're not going to waste our time.
Matt, think about this. When Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig got hurt, had to take a couple months off. Lanny Poffo took his spot on the main event around the country.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So you had Hogan. The top of the bill was Hogan versus the Genius. On what planet is that a real main event?
Really?
Right. Yeah, Papa was legitimately good enough to drop in against anybody on the platform.
Oh yeah.
He just never didn't have the character to push to get the fans in the seats and to get
my favorite thing about him. And if you watch Dark Side of the Ring or you watch the Macho Man documentary from A&E, that's his voice. That's his real speaking voice.
Real voice.
My brother was an honest man. My brother was a upstanding man. And the fact that when he died, a part of me sort of died. And when he got married, I read this poem, and I'll read it to you now. I'm like, fuck, he's going to read a poem.
That was in Dark Side of the Ring?
There was that
one.
What
platform is that on? I'll look it up.
You can find it on YouTube.
Okay,
the A&E documentary is also on YouTube. The
Macho Man. Was it a series or was it a one-off?
Oh, Dark Side of the Ring is a series. You want to dig deep, man? You'll come back next week going, I can't believe I didn't know about this shit.
No shit.
Oh, all sorts of great stories. The Von Erichs are on there. Bruiser Brody's on there. Moolah's on there. Savage. Christ. Dark Side of the Ring is probably the best thing to happen to wrestling in a long time because you relive your childhood, but you hear all the backstage bullshit.
I mean, I've watched documentaries on Piper and
Dino Bravo and
that was a good one.
All of those things.
The one they did on Adrian Adonis was fucking fantastic.
What was
Who's
the
other one?
The wrestler the black guy. And everybody was like, that's just who he was. He was insane.
New Jack.
Yeah. New Jack was absolutely insane.
Yep. They did one on Sandman recently, and I'm like, yeah, this is who he is. I've met him a half a dozen times at shows and before shows, and that's just who Sandman was. He's a beer drinking tough guy, and they with little skill. But they played it. They played it to the hilt.
Yeah, he knew how to pull punches and act it. So he just was he was a brawler.
Oh yeah.
He had
Jimmy Snuka one
wrestling ability at all.
Yeah, the Jimmy Snuka one may or may not change your view of Jimmy Snuka. It didn't change mine. I love Snuka. I love Snuka to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I've read about him over the years. I know he ran into some problems.
And after that, all his money went up his nose.
Well, that's a problem.
I mean, I've tried shoving dollar bills up there. It's not very comfortable.
Well, you're supposed to suck the coke out of the dollar bill,
right?
Oh, I was doing it wrong all along.
Yeah, he was using the coke to snort the dollar bill up his nose.
Yeah, there's a technique, learning curve.
A rectal suppository.
Right? Do you remember the first time you put a gerbil up your ass? It's kind of like that.
There's a lot like that. Yeah.
Why are you buying a cat? How else am I supposed to get the gerbil out?
You always remember the first time.
Any parting words, 80s wrestling style? I'll start with Herm on this one. You know, what was it like for you?
I mean, it depends. I mean, you had the beginnings of the WWF.
Yeah.
And it being a major player and basically absorbing everybody. It was that entire era where new wrestlers were coming in to mainstream America through USA,
right?
At a rate that you know what I mean. You were now seeing all these wrestlers come from Smoky Mountain, from ECW, from all these other smaller, the Texas, the Texas wrestling. You saw all these people come in. It was an amazing builder and precursor for the sports entertainment business, the billions of dollars a year industry, and one company he's turned it into. Like
turned into an empire.
And now
It
he's
was
not allowed to have
really
anything to
hard.
do
It was
with
just
it.
a bunch of little mom.
Crazy.
It was just a bunch of little mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
Until Vince bought all the stores and liked all the products they sold and decided to bring them all to his store. That's
Basically Walmart.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a Walmart comparison.
When you put the competition out of business or buy them, it's kind of hard to compete. So
I think it makes
part
you
of
less
he made his
part
own
of-
interesting.
market.
Part of
He made
that
his own market.
is true, and part of that is not true. Yes, Vince did go to the stars of all the different areas: Harley Race, Butch Reed, Jake Roberts, Rick Rude.
right.
All of them
He
say,
completely cherry picked.
yeah, here, Paul Orndorff, Roddy Piper. He tried for Flair for years until Flair came to the WWF. And I'll share a Flair story in a minute that you may not know about. He just went and said, I'd like you to come work for my company. Here's what I'm going to pay you as a base, and then you'll make merchandise and whatever. And but here's the minimum that you're going to make. And they look at it and go, this is more than I'm making working for Fritz von Erich. This is more than I'm making working for the Grahams in Florida. This
You
is
pay
more than I'm
better
making.
money.
Yeah. And I say this to everybody when people shit on the Yankees. Oh, the Yankees buy their talent. No, the Yankees say, here's what you can make. Come in and do your job. Who wouldn't, for the same job you're doing right fucking now, take twice?
Yeah.
3 times.
If you say you wouldn't, you're an idiot.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a business decision.
Yeah, it's a
So-
business. And he ran a hell of a business for a very long time.
Oh, absolutely.
he
He
absolutely
set the
did.
model. But when you set that model and you have the stars that you could see in Minnesota with the AWA, you have the Road Warriors, you have Kurt Hennig, you have Jesse Ventura, you have Adrian Adonis. Why do I need to go see this show when they're all coming to town next week with this show?
Right, when they're all coming to Hartford next month on this show. I don't have to
think
travel
about it.
anywhere.
No. Right. But if you live in Minnesota and you were watching AWA, which I loved the AWA, that was gritty, down and dirty shit, man. I loved it.
That was fucking That was bloody.
But if you just saw Kurt Hennig 2 weeks ago with Nick Bockwinkel all bloodied up and doing his thing, but he just went to the WWF and they're coming to the Target Center next week. Why do I need to watch this? There's my guy. I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
It's
I think,
business. He did business better than anybody.
Yeah,
did.
and I think he kind of paved the pathway for how NASCAR runs their teams too.
I was gonna say, I think he set the freaking
I see
platform for other
I
things
see a
outside
huge
wrestling.
I see a huge correlation between wrestling, just wrestling
Yeah.
in general as a business model,
I
and the way
agree.
race teams run.
Not even
I
just
can-
race teams.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
can
but
correlate to
then
that
it-
because
But then you got to remember, Chris, NASCAR and wrestling became really, really popular, really, really close to each other.
Mhm.
So they share it, and it's the same fan base most of the
they
time.
I was
share
gonna say it's the
that
same fan
too, but
base.
they
They
share
share
a business model.
huge business model and fan base connection there. And they
And I can
grew to
throw
be
this out
so
here, and Herm-
monstrous.
Right. Herm being a part of the show tomorrow night, Speedway Review every Wednesday, 7:30 on YouTube and Facebook. When you see a guy that's running some of the lower levels like Connor Zilic, William Sawalich, Jesse Love, and they're running the ARCA series, which is a touring series, not unlike the modifieds up here. And all of a sudden they're getting put in trucks, Xfinity cars, Cup cars, NASCAR's, the teams, not NASCAR itself, but the teams in general, Joe Gibbs Racing, yada, yada.
Right.
They're cherry picking the best of the best. At some point, it'll either collapse on itself or it'll continue to grow.
Right.
I mean, it's been working for how many years for all these sports?
Oh yeah.
It's a no-brainer, and I do have to. I agree with you when people shit on the Yankees about that. It's not that they buy them; they see talent and recognize talent and say, "Hey, this is what you get the potential to make."
And this is where
you do this well. You do this well every year. This is what your end game is right here.
What Steinbrenner
who wouldn't go handpick a team?
Bingo. And what Steinbrenner and McMahon did were so similar. They put their money
Absolutely.
back on the field. Vince McMahon didn't get all these guys to line his pockets. He got all these guys so he could make more and go get those guys and go get those guys.
Yeah.
So he could pick off a Kerry Von Erich. So he could pick off a Ric Flair. So
It
he
was a
could
long
pick off
game.
this guy. Yeah, he was looking forward. He put his money back into the product. Where if you look at 1983 and you watch one of those matches from the Field House in Pennsylvania, and then you fast forward 3 years when they're doing television tapings at the Hartford Civic Center or at the Madison Square Garden, or they went from dusty, dirty, smoky buildings, and in 3 years, using that same business model, we're in major, shiny arenas across the country. Fast forward 3 more years, they're at the Sky Dome. Fast forward 5 more years, they're at the Hoosier Dome. Fast forward however many years, they're at every fucking major stadium.
Right.
They just did SummerSlam from where the Cleveland Browns play football and drew 67,000 people.
That's huge, dude.
That's a
Huge.
big business model. And unlike the Yankees, who play in the same stadium 81 times a year, but they routinely fill it.
Right.
You got to put something that people want to see.
I mean, I went to a Sox game on Saturday night. They lost 11-2. Place was fucking packed.
Yeah.
Packed.
Because now they're
in
employing
fourth place, not looking at any time soon taking the fucking league championship, but they're still packing the house.
I'm not trying to be a prick Yankee fan here, but they, over the last 20 years, have employed the Steinbrenner model. Put your money on the field.
They have.
Get the best players you can, offer them, hey, here's what you're going to make base, but here's what you do in incentives. Come play with us. Let's go win us a championship.
There's been a lot of comments about how the Red Sox have freaking
Actually,
tried to be the Yankees.
Actually, their business model for a very, very long time has been Moneyball.
Yes, it has.
It's
It was very much so.
Their complete high office strategy is Moneyball. And if you watch the Moneyball movie and then you go down the rabbit hole with the Red Sox and start watching, you see it happen. And it was Moneyball, and they just.
But think about this before we get too deep into the weeds on this. Was David Ortiz when they signed him, or Johnny Damon when they signed him, or Manny Ramirez when they signed him? And this was the beginning of their run, in my opinion, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Were they worth that money that they were paying them, being mediocre players? No. But they were playing, to Herm's point, they were playing the Moneyball game. They get on base. They score runs. They do this. But
they were consistent as fuck.
Right. But they paid these guys like they were Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter down the line. They were paying them like they were Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire. And guess what? They won. So they took the best of both worlds, threw it against the wall. That sticks. Let's go with that. And that's
you see what happens to superstars like McGwire, Bonds, Jose Canseco. Yeah, you
Roger
can swing
Clemens,
a bat and hit. You can
yeah.
swing a bat and hit home runs, but not consistently.
Well, that's the thing when
consistency wins games, because
this will pair into the wrestling conversation, because I'll make these 2 points. When the Yankees signed Jason Giambi away from the A's, and in Moneyball they mention it, and if you read the book they mention it too, but if you've only seen the film, Jason Giambi was a big numbers guy, big average, big on base percentage, big home runs. Couldn't field the ball worth dick. But the Yankees paid him twice what Oakland was paying him. In the wrestling side, Lex Luger wasn't shit. But Vince McMahon paid him a whole lot of money to come over to his outfit, and he was kind of okay. Lex Luger didn't hit his stride till 96.
Yeah.
But in 1992, when they signed him, he was a body, a name, a face. He was marketable. He was Jason Giambi without a bat.
Right.
And it's the system works.
Sure. And who did it better than Vince McMahon?
Yeah, good for them.
Vince McMahon was the George Steinbrenner, the Berry Gordy. He was the fucking Lee Iacocca. He built the business model that others are trying to follow.
And
I mean, for me,
so quickly.
Yeah. As you said that was my point. To go back to where I would go and watch WWF come to the Rose Arts Festival in Norwich, and they set up the ring on the green under the tent, And you saw all the stars. You saw Jimmy Snuka. You saw Cowboy Bob Orton. You saw the Wild Samoans. You saw Greg Valentine. You saw Bob Backlund. And then how many people are there? 600-700? It was a drop in the bucket for them. Hey, we're right down the road. You're having your community festival. Sure, let's go put on some matches at your gimmick. And then to see them, your TV tapings, where it's the ring, it's the people, maybe 3,000-4,000 people. There was no barricade. It was stanchions with rope, like you're waiting in line to go into the movies. And then fast forward 3 years when they're in big buildings and they have the metal, I call them the bike rack barricades.
Yeah.
Now look at what they do now. Watch the product now for 10 minutes this Friday night. That's all I'm asking. Put on Friday Night SmackDown for 10 minutes and see how much the product has changed in 30, 40 years. That's
I'll do that every couple Friday nights. Just take a look for 10, 15 minutes. It's totally different.
If you want to see some really beautiful women, watch Monday night. Watch my two future ex-wives, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, slap each other around. The business model Vince had was, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help myself.
Right.
Whether or not he's ever enunciated that, that's the way I see it. I want my business that I own, that I bought from my father, to be the best business it can be.
I just can't find a way to fault him for that. I mean, that's just
no.
They say, I say they, all his competitors that have gone out of business over the years, Eric Bischoff, Bill Watts, Vern Gagne before he went crazy and beat up a guy in his nursing home. They all say, oh, McMahon raided my talent. He didn't do anything you didn't do for 30 years before he did. He just had more capital to do so.
And he was willing to do. Yeah.
I don't think Hulk Hogan would have done a Baltimore Colts in the middle of the night on Vern Gagne if Vince didn't say, I want you to come do your gimmick, come to my company. I think you'd make a great champion. You start in a month. Okay. Vern, can you match this offer? No, I can't. I'm off to New York. See you later.
Money talks, bullshit walks.
And you could exactly, and the point goes to, hey, Cammy in the comment section.
Hey, Cammy.
Niece is wonderful, and it goes back to one thing: you can be Vince McMahon and make your business better, or you can be Vern Gagne and cry about it and go out of business 6 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, we're going long.
Yeah,
we are.
Say, gentlemen, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
we do. We'll do one of these on the 90s, but that'll be in a year. So Marsh can catch up.
Nice.
The 90s were a hell of a time, and Herm and I were at the arenas so much. We can go
90s year by year.
Deep. Oh, Jesus, that would take forever. Probably the same list, but man, what a great... Thank you, guys. This was fun, and this was all about Matt Marsh.
I dug this, man. This was sweet.
This was good.
Next week, we don't know what we're doing. I'm going to leave it up to the other guys to come up with a topic because my creativity is gone.
We'll figure it out.
Herm's going to rant tomorrow night on Speedway Review. Check it out.
Yeah, you did a nice job with the topics tonight, Chris. That was good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very good topics. Very good.
All right, fellas.
All right.
I'm Vince McMahon. We'll see you next time.
Let me tell you, brother.
Judgment falls upon you at first light. I'm the hand of God. I'm the dark Messiah. I'm the vengeful bride. In the blackest moment of a dying world, what have you become?
There will be no mention of Chris Benoit on the 90s episode when we do it.
Well, let me tell you, brother.
I'm a better dad. I'm a better dad than Chris Benoit.
They should have tapped out. They should have tapped out.
You're going to stick